guys, this is Mr. Royal recording my first ever video log to explain a topic that a lot of students tend to struggle with, and that is multiplying fractions. I know a lot of times students understand how to do the process of multiplying fractions. They say, well, you multiply the numerator by the numerator, the denominator by the denominator, and there you have it. But a lot of times I don't feel like they really understand why what they're doing actually works and what they're actually doing when they're multiplying the numerators and the denominators. So in order to show this, I am going to use a method called the brownie pan method. So of course I've baked a beautiful batch of brownies. However, you'll notice that it is not a full batch. So we are going to use these brownies in order to hopefully better understand how to multiply fractions and what you're actually doing when you multiply fractions. So this is the problem we're going to be looking at today and using the brownie pan method to solve. It says James wants to buy 1/4 of the brownie pan that is 2/3 full. Because remember, we only started off with 2/3 of the brownie pan. What fraction of the original full brownie pan will he buy? So if he buys 1/4 of what's left, what fraction of the original entire pan would he have bought? That's what we're trying to figure out. So remember, in this problem, what we've been asked to figure out is, we've been told that I have 2/3 of a pan of brownies, and James wants to buy 1/4 of what I have left. And we want to figure out what fraction of the entire full pan of brownies did he end up buying. So in order to figure this out, again, what you can see is I have thirds here. Here's 1/3, 2/3, and then the third is missing because that has been eaten already. So really I have 2/3, and I want to figure out what 1/4 of 2/3 is. And any time that you want to find a fraction of a number, really what you're doing is you're going to be multiplying the two fractions together. So if I wanted to figure out what 1/4 of what I had left was, I could cut this into fourths. And an easy way to do that is to first cut it in half. And I'm going to do my best here to make them equal halves. And then those halves I can cut in half again, which then makes fourths. So now, again, I started with 2/3, and now I've cut it into fourths the other way because I want to figure out what 1/4 of 2/3 is. So if we just look at 1/4 of the brownies that are left, that would be looking at one of these sections. So this would be 1/4, this would be another fourth, and the final fourth. So a total of 4/4 equaling the total amount of brownies that I had. So with this fourth, now, how many pieces would James get if he bought 1/4 of the brownie that was remaining? And he would end up buying 2 pieces. So 2 would be the numerator in your answer, because he's buying 2 of the pieces, and he's buying 2 out of a total of how many pieces would have made up this entire pan of brownies. Because again, we want to figure out what fraction of the original pan of brownies did he buy. So he bought 2 pieces out of a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, because we do have to account for the missing pieces of brownie. So there would have been a total of 12 pieces of brownie of the same size if we were to have a full pan of brownies, and he would have bought 2 of those, because that's 1/4 of what's remaining, because 2 is 1/4 of 8. So what we've determined here is that 1/4 of 2/3 is 1/2 out of 12, or 2/12, which you could then simplify to be 1/6. So what you could say is that 1/4 times 2/3 equals 2/12, which then simplifies to 1/6. So this is just kind of a visual, more hands-on approach that might help you better understand what you're actually doing and how to multiply fractions together. So I'm guessing when you do math, you typically don't have a pan of brownies in front of you. So I just wanted to show how you can use the brownie pan method in class or on homework when you don't have the brownies with you. So again, what we stated was the fact that when you want to find 1/4 of 2/3, really what you're doing is you're doing the multiplication problem of 1/4 times 2/3. So I've started off with just a drawing of it's my imaginary brownie pan, and if we break this into thirds to start with, as best we can, they don't need to be perfect. So if those are my thirds, and I'm just going to shade in the sections that still have brownies remaining in them, because remember we said that 1/3 of the brownie pan had already been eaten before James went to buy his 4th. So here are my 2/3 of brownies. This is the empty section of the brownie pan. Now if I want to figure out what 1/4 of the original brownie pan is in terms of how many pieces he would have, again now I'm going to break it into fourths this way, the opposite way that you broke it into thirds. So in this case it'll be horizontally. So now I'm going to shade this section that represents 1/4 of the brownie pan a different color. Or you can also, if you don't have different colors, you can just do the original 2/3 drawing up and down, and then you can draw the 4th going side to side. And now what I'm looking for, the way that I'm going to find my answer of what is 1/4 of 2/3, is to look at the sections that are shaded in both colors, so are shaded in both black and green, looking for the overlap. So in this case you can see this section has both black and green shading, and this section also has black and green shading. So I have a total of 2 sections that are shaded in both black and green out of a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So out of a total of 12 sections, because remember that denominator is always telling you how many pieces make up the whole. And in this case the 2 represents how many pieces James bought. So he bought 2/12 of the original brownie. We could simplify by dividing both the numerator and denominator by 2, which would give us 1/6. So James bought 1/6 of the original brownie based on the fact that he bought 1/4 of what was left. So that is just a way that you can multiply fractions, a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more visual, as opposed to just memorizing the algorithm for multiplying numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. Well guys, I hope that was at least a little bit helpful, and maybe helps you better understand what you're doing when you are actually multiplying fractions. Hope you enjoyed it, and I got some brownie eating to do, so I'll see you next time.